Welcome to my mini lecture. I'm Professor Yan, and I'm going to be talking about The Martian. The Martian starts on a planet named Mars. As you can see, this is Mars right here. It's directed by Ridley Scott. The story follows an astronaut named Mark Watney, who is our protagonist of the film. This is Mark Watney. Starts off with him and his crew on a mission in Ares 3 on Mars, where there's a storm that happened, and all of a sudden, debris pierced Mark through, and then his team thought that he died, and so they abandoned him, and left the mission early on Ares 3 back to Earth. Then Mark woke up, and he was all alone on Mars. To live on Mars, Mark, after realizing the crew that left him, Mark was in a state of panic. Obviously, he thought about how he's going to survive. He thought he was going to die at first, but then he said he won't, which I just love that mentality from Mark. As a botanist and his will to live, he used science to live on Mars. How to do that? First problem, which was food. In the Ares 3 mission, there was barely any food left for Mark, for himself, to live throughout so he can receive help. So he decided to grow crops. Potatoes. He chose potatoes because he had an abundant supply of potatoes for a little bit. But to grow crops, you need water. That's the first problem. Where was he going to find water? Let's take a closer look. This is Mark right here with his crop farm. What Mark did, he used chemistry to create water. So he used rocket fuel, which is hydrazine, to produce hydrogen, H, and then igniting it with fire combustion in the presence of oxygen to produce H2O. So that's the formula 2H plus O, H2O. Combustion is a combustion reaction. Yeah. But Watney does blow himself up on the first try, which emphasizes that with science, there's setbacks. And with those setbacks, he didn't stop there. He didn't give up. He kept on going. He did it again until he got it right, which was the second try, fortunately. That idea of just not giving up is just so prevalent in the world of science and in real life, where you got to adapt from your failures no matter what. That's the mentality that I love. Alright. Let's get back on Earth. This is Ares 3 to my left, going towards Earth. So problem solving in science. They figured out that Mark is still alive on Mars. So they had to think of ideas on how he could come back alive. So the first idea was sending a spaceship with a space probe with supplies to last Watney till the next mission arrives, Ares 4. The problem with this mission, it would be successful if they had enough time to make the ship, which they didn't, but it had a high chance of successing, but it was too long, and Mark Watney could have died before the supplies reached him. So problems happen, problems arrive, and sometimes you can't find the fastest solution. Sometimes you got to be open-minded to the solutions. So that's where Rich Purnell had a crazy idea, which obviously emphasizes you have to be open to other solutions when tackling a single problem. There could be better ways of doing it and worse ways. More riskier ways, you might have to take those risks. That's what I love, taking risks. So I really relate with this movie. It's just, So what Rich Purnell devised was to use Earth gravity to send Ares 3 back to Mars without using too much fuel. And in the midst of that, send a space probe with enough supplies for them to last the entire extra year and a half journey, I think it was. So how that works was Earth, think of space as a fabric. Earth in the middle pulls the fabric down with like a little whirlpool type of thing in in the swimming park. There's like whirlpools. It's like that. You get more momentum the more you go down it. So yeah, using that momentum, send Ares 3 back without using too much fuel. Idea was could be too risky, and instead of one person dying for sure, which was Mark, 6 could die. So Ares 3 and Mark. But Rich Purnell had the calculations to back that it could work, and that's just how science is. You need facts for it to work, and you got to take risks. when trying to solve for a problem. You can't always go with the safest option, as it could, you know. So back to Mars, another problem solving in science. The spaceship was going too fast for them to grab Mark. So what Lewis thought was, instead of using the fuel to slow the ship down, to they should cause an explosion in front of the ship to tremendously slow it down. So slows it down. The problem was that it was also very risky. But Lewis's quick thinking in an unforeseen problem stood out to me, as in the real world, problems can occur at any moment, and we should probably act upon it rather than dwelling on if we should or not. Always take the first step. Yeah, and it was successful. They grabbed Watney, and they had enough fuel to get back. They also used explosion with chemistry. It was cool. It was very sick. So what stood out to me in this movie? It was Mark Watney's resilience. It was like when he was on Mars, he thought of obviously he's gonna die, but he said, "No, I'm going to live," and just his resilience and the way that he like not starved himself, but conserved food was enough. I like resilience. I like being determined, and I feel like this is not just in the world of science, but we should make do with our current situation in the real world. We should always tackle with resilience in the real world and strive to live no matter what. Thank you for listening. This was Professor Yan signing out.